Welcome to the good, the bad, and the ugly of the WWE 2019 Clash of Champions pay-per-view. Now clearly this is not your grandmama and granddaddy pay-per-view review show. No, you see in this review, we're going to dissect every single match in this pay-per-view to find out together if it was good or bad. Now, how do we do that? Well, let me take a moment, if I may, to my veteran subscribers, as I usually like to do in these good, bad, and uglies, and explain the rules to my newer subscribers. They're fairly simple, so follow along. Rule number 1, every single match gets a tally. Main show only. We do not go over pre-show matches. Only in the main show, every single match will get a tally in the good, bad, or ugly. Rule number 2, every single ugly will turn into 2 bads at the end of the review in the final count. So you want to stay away from that ugly column. Because if you're in this column at the end of the review, that'll turn into 2 bads. And that'll drastically change the outcome of this review. Vincent Kennedy McMahon, make sure your promotion stays away from those uglies. Rule number 3, a tiebreaker. If we are at a stalemate at the end of this review, then and only then will we go to the pre-show. And that'll determine if this was a good or bad pay-per-view. Fairly simple, correct? Try to keep it short and sweet. Now it's time to get into this because there's a lot to go over, obviously. 9 matches on the main show. They switched 2 matches over to that pre-show. As we aforementioned and thought, it was indeed the Cruiserweight Championship. And then, amazingly, but I shouldn't be too shocked, they actually put the AJ Styles match for the United States Championship. They actually put that onto the pre-show. Who in their right mind, or not all in their right mind, would make that decision? Oh wait, gotta be Vincent Kennedy. So unfortunately, I have no choice but to start this review with an ugly. And we're not even on to the matches yet on the main show. But if you're gonna tell me that you're putting one of the best wrestlers still to this day in the world, AJ Styles, on a pre-show, that in itself gets an ugly. But then on top of that, it's the United States Championship on a pay-per-view titled Clash of Champions, and you're putting it on a pre-show. You'd rather Alexa Bliss and Mandy Rose and Sonya, you'd rather them take up 10 minutes of your time on the main show, but AJ Styles in the United States Championship isn't worthy enough. Cedric Alexander on that stage, not worthy enough. It's almost like someone said, Vince, I got a great match for Clash, man. It's gonna blow the roof off the place, man. Cedric and Styles, we give them 10 to 15 minutes even. Just 10 to 15 minutes, Vince, it'll be amazing. What? That's too good of a wrestling match. Put them on the pre-show and give them 4 minutes. Put Mandy and Sonya and Alexa in that spot. Vince, are you sure this could be a dynamite match? No, give them 4 minutes on the pre-show. And they did. Not only were they on the pre-show, he gave them 4 minutes. Some people were going, it was an amazing match. Well, I'm not surprised. It's Cedric and Styles. But don't lower your standards. That was 4 minutes. That is disrespectful to Cedric and Styles, let alone just being on the pre-show. But to give them just 4 minutes when in a roundabout way they're masters at their craft? Styles, there is no roundabout way. I'm not going to sit here and call it an amazing match in 4 minutes. I'm going to call this downright criminal and tragic. Imagine what they could do if you gave them just 10 minutes. And people are saying, well, this is going to add anticipation for their next match, BC. So this was done right. No. Here's a crazy concept. What if you gave them 10 minutes last night and then you built anticipation for, here's a crazy concept, a 20-minute match next time? I guess my standards are too high. Everybody's okay with a 4-minute match, getting us excited and anticipating a 10-minute match next time. Wow, 10 minutes. Whatever will I do with that time? It's Cedric and Styles. Their bare minimum should be 10 to 15 minutes. And that should set us up for an amazing 20 to 25 minute match. Instead, we've lowered our standards and we're talking about how amazing a 4-minute match was. No, I know what Styles and Cedric can do. That's not amazing. And it's Vince's, it's on his shoulders, it's on his dome piece, the blame. So I start this off with an ugly. Even though we don't go over the pre-show matches up front, I have to point how ugly that is of a situation. And we're still not even going to get into the matches before I put another tally up here. Because when we start the show, it was easy to see, even in the pre-show, if you're paying attention, the set is the same as Raw and SmackDown still. Still, Vince McMahon refuses to make his pay-per-views feel special. When it went to the top of that rampway and I saw the same Raw and SmackDown set, they just turned the colors yellow, I thought, why am I feeling nothing for this pay-per-view? Why am I feeling like this is just another glorified Raw or SmackDown? Oh wait, that's rhetorical. It's because it is. So not only did the set not change at all for a pay-per-view, it's still just a Raw SmackDown set, which it always is. But on top of that, still no pyro. I ask one thing out of this company, because it doesn't do anything else we ask of it, but can on pay-per-views, can you just give us some pyro? Once a month. I know all your money, Vince, is going to the XFL, but once a month on your pay-per-views, can you maybe give a little bit of pyro to, again, make the event feel special? Of course he can't. So how do we start? We literally just start with the crowd that's not pumped up. Remember the Attitude Era when the pyro would go off and everybody's flipping the fuck out because you know that's the place to be? No, now we're zooming into the crowd and they're like, yeah, Clash, Raw, SmackDown, what is this? Main event? Nothing. No fucking emotion. And you just have Michael Cole going, welcome everyone to Clash of Champions. That's it. Seth Rollins' music plays. Nobody's burning it down. Now, you know what? That's absolutely a fucking bad. That's a bad. There's no way of fucking around it. Same set as Raw and SmackDown. No fucking pyro. A simplistic welcome everyone to Clash. There's no fucking excitement. You started a fucking pay-per-view off with zero excitement. And that happens time and time again. And I'm sick of that shit. That's done. So right off the gate, right from the jump, before we even get into these main show matches, we have an ugly, which again is going to count as 2 bads in the final, and we already have a fucking bad. This is starting off swell. Let's get to the fucking matches. First match on the main show was the Raw Tag Titles. This was Strowman and Rollins, the champions, taking on Ziggler and Bob Roode, whatever the fuck he wants to call himself. This was literally just a Raw match. Not bad, but certainly not good. It was not pay-per-view worthy for sure. Worst of all, they took the straps off of Gallows and Anderson after just a few weeks, just to give them the Strowman and Rollins for just 2 weeks. And for what we all came to find out, and I knew from the beginning, it was literally for no reason at all. And then they just dropped the straps last night to Ziggler and Bob Roode. What? This is what I mean about this fucking company. They panicked. They panicked because they knew they were going Rollins and Strowman, but they wanted both of them to go in as faces. So there was no feud, no animosity, nothing to get us excited about this. So Vince said, what if we put some titles around their waist together? So I know this was a drastic, spur-of-the-moment, spontaneous decision by Vince to take the titles off of Gallows and Anderson, even though Gallows and Anderson just got them a few weeks earlier and had no real run with them, and they just formed the OC, so this was going to be dominant for them and huge. But no, Vince takes them from Gallows and Anderson because he had no other story for Rollins and Strowman. And just as I said from the jump, this did nothing. Those titles were just props for Rollins and Strowman. It did nothing for them. They held them for 2 weeks, and then last night they lost them in the first match of the night. And then, here's the real kicker. Nothing happened afterwards. There was zero feuding between the two. Rollins and Strowman did not come to blows after they lost the titles. That's what we all thought was going to happen, right? Once they drop the titles, that's when they're going to explode on one another, and that's going to get them to the main event. It did nothing. Literally, Strowman throws a little bit of a fit. He goes to the back, and then backstage, they were just arguing a little bit. Kind of like a couple of toddlers that got the wrong fucking lunches from their mamas, and they want to fucking trade off. That's all this was. There was no at all feuding stemming from this loss. They literally just said, well, I didn't lose it myself. Well, I didn't lose it, you did. Yeah, but we're a team. And then they just went to the main event. It was like a couple of toddlers arguing. Nothing stemmed from this tag team loss. So why would you take them off of Gallows and Anderson? It's rhetorical. It was dumb as fuck, and they shouldn't have. So now when the Viking Raider Experience Warrior Adventure comes to take on Gallows and Anderson, it's meaningless, when it could have been for the titles. So yeah, absolutely that is befuddling to me that they would ruin the entire tag division. In 1 fucking month, you basically have 3 separate champions, and now Ziggler and Rude have the straps. No, absolutely not. That's not just bad, that is fucking ugly. And I don't for 1 fucking second have any reservation on taking that back. That first match was ugly every way you look at it. Number 1, it was not a fucking worthy pay-per-view match. Number 2, there was no reason for the tag titles to be on Strowman and Rollins. And number 3, now they're just on Ziggler and Rude. What does this do for anyone? Are they gonna make something out of Ziggler and Rude? I hope so, but that's for the future. As of last night, that was all fucking ugly. And it all started with Gallows and Anderson losing those belts for no reason. And then after they lose the belts last night, Rollins and Strowman don't even have any animosity. Strowman goes to the back, they have a little toddler fight in the back, and that was it. Their mothers gave them the wrong lunches, they want to do a trade-off, and they're just yelling at each other a little bit. No, I want it. No, I didn't do it, you did it. Give me your cookies, well, give me your brownie. That was hard to fucking watch from the jump. Again, right when Gallows and Anderson dropped the belts, I knew this was an issue. Next up, second match on the main show. SmackDown Live Women's Championship. Bayley, the champion, taking on Charlotte Flair. This was like a 3-minute match. If you blinked, you missed it. Charlotte hits headfirst into an exposed turnbuckle. Bayley gets a 3 count and then literally runs away with the title to the back. Because, and only because, Bayley looked like a rock star heel. This is going into the good column. Okay, that's not the only reason. Another reason is the fact that we are spared Charlotte Flair and another title reign with her. The fact that Charlotte did win the title last night is a little fucking warming to me. So that's another reason that went into the good. But just Bayley, this is the best Bayley has looked on the main roster, this new heel persona. And I love how she's playing this. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm still a role model to all your kids. I'm just doing whatever I have to do to make sure I don't lose this title. She grabs the title. First of all, she wins it in heel form. And then she grabs the title and she literally runs to the back. Like, nobody's reversing this decision. I'm getting the fuck out of Dodge. I love that. It's almost like an NFL team these days with instant replay. And when they know they got away with something, so the quarterback is rushing his linemen to the fucking line so they can quickly get a snap off before the referee can stop it and review the replay. This is exactly what it felt like to me. Bayley's like, I'm getting the fuck out of here, man. Loved it, guys. So that's definitely going into the good. Finally, thank goodness for Bayley. We finally got a good up in the columns. Bayley looked amazing last night, and I'm really looking forward to the evolution of this Bayley character. I'm really loving it, man. This is the first real time since she's been on the main roster that I'm loving Bayley. And it's great, man. I love it. Next up is the third match on the main show. This is the SmackDown Live tag titles. The Revival taking on the New Day. Aside from the fact that I still don't know logically how this match makes any sense, because the Revival was supposed to be a Raw tag team, but aside from that, it was actually a decent match. But I never questioned that it would be. What I really liked was the Revival actually and finally looking dominant in this match. They didn't just beat the New Day and become new SmackDown Live champions for the tag team division. No, they toyed with the New Day. They fucked around with the New Day. And then when they saw fit, they had Xavier do the tap out win. Listen, that victory, this was fucking awesome. This is the best that the Revival has looked ever on the main roster in a match. Because they looked dominant when it counted the most with the biggest prizes on the line. For the tag team division anyway, tag straps. So this is why I say this is where it mattered the most. You're in the middle of a fucking pay-per-view. You're not on some pre-show. You got tag straps on the line. Not against some joke team either. This is the New Day. Yes, I feel they've gotten stale over time, but that's still the New Day. And you're toying with them? You're fucking with them? And then when you see fit, you choose to finally get the victory? I love it. That's dominance, and that's going into the good section. Hopefully you guys can see this shit, man. Marker's giving me some issues. So that's 3 matches in, guys. And because of some extracurricular activity on the board that had nothing to do with the main show matches, we sit at 2 uglies, 1 bad, and 2 good. So we got a little bit of good momentum going. Can we carry that in to the 4th main show match? Before we even get to that, I'm actually going to throw in another good here, and it has to do with a backstage segment. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross are giving an interview backstage when R-Truth drops a boom mic into frame and into picture. We quickly see that Mella and Truth are disguised as WWE crew, obviously trying to hide from the locker room. Alexa grabs the boom and blows up R-Truth's spot. Talent comes barreling to the set. You got the chase is on. Drake Maverick, of course, he's last, as he always is, and he's out of breath, which makes it even more hilarious. But he still takes the time to thank Alexa Bliss. And then he starts running off, last again. And this got a laugh out of me, guys. This drew a little bit of emotion out of me. At this point, I'm kind of just like lost with this pay-per-view. Even though we strung together a couple of goods, I still don't have a feel for this pay-per-view at this point. So to get a laugh out of me and get some emotion, it's my review show, and that was a good. Because, hey, man, at that point, I just wanted them to get some emotion out of me, man. Give me something. Let me give you a fucking feeling and emotion. A laugh? That'll do. R-Truth always puts a smile on our faces, man, and that did not disappoint last night. So there you go. For those of you saying I'm too mean by giving an ugly and a bad at the beginning of this review, well, there you go. I'm throwing a mulligan there. There's a good. Now we go into I believe this is the 4th match on the main show. This was the women's tag team titles. Now, unfortunately for Alexa and Nikki, that's where the good ends. Because this was Alexa and Nikki, champions taking on Fire and Desire. What in this grand world and God's green earth was this about? How is this, or was this, a pay-per-view match? Alexa and Nikki Cross retained the titles, and to be honest, I couldn't even pay attention to the match because Sonya Deville was running around with a fucking flying rainbow attached to her ass. Seriously. Sonya, it is great and it is awesome that you're promoting equal rights. That is awesome. But can you please lose the fucking beach towel in your pocket? Or at least make it a hand towel. That thing is huge. It is literally a gigantic beach towel, rainbowed, attached to her. And she's running around the ring. It looks like a flying rainbow is attached to her ass. So it just distracted me the entire fucking time. I understand what you're promoting. I think it's awesome. Lose it. Or make it smaller. Honey, I Shrunk the Towel. But aside from that, the match, I don't even know. to try to cause a little bit of a fucking, a little distraction on probably how bad they knew the match was going to be, they actually had the 24/7 title shenanigans come into the ring at one point during this match. But it couldn't save the match. This is obviously going into the bad section and the bad column. Sorry, not sorry. Way it's got to be, guys. Unapologetically, there's no way that I could put that anywhere but the bad. I'm being generous and not putting it into the ugly. It was nowhere near good. Now, the fifth match of the night on the main show, this was the Intercontinental title match. Shinsuke Nakamura taking on The Miz. Didn't mind this match. Miz has been wrestling really good as of late. Sami Zayn used his outside position beautifully, and Shinsuke getting the ultimate victory via Kinshasa was beyond much needed. Beyond much needed. This guy finally, just like the Revival you could say, but Shinsuke was actually defending the championship in this case, but Shinsuke finally got on the main show, had a significant match for his championship, and he won. There's a concept. Make Shinsuke look good because here's a thought. He is. This is obviously going into the good column. I like that IC title match. I know there was nothing special about it to most of you, but, you know, I am trained in dissecting these matches a certain way, and I just felt that everyone played their part beautifully. Miz has been wrestling really good. You had Sami Zayn out there doing his role to perfection, and you had Shinsuke Nakamura finally being Shinsuke Nakamura and finally defending that championship on the main show in a decently significant match. I'm taking that shit, man. Beggars can't be choosers sometimes. The sixth match of the night on the main show was the Raw Women's title. This was Becky Lynch taking on Sasha Banks. Let me get a swig of my coffee and then we'll continue this. Because I'm going to need a moment on this. Alright. Where do we begin, man? Champion Becky Lynch taking on challenger Sasha Banks. This was a main event feel. The crowd, the energy, the captivation. This was main event. But of course, Vince doesn't look at Sasha Banks as a main event. Or a main eventer. Of course not. So we'll shove this in the middle of the card when it was clear that was the match. If you go back, see, this is what I'm here for. I dissect this stuff. If you go back, you watch that crowd reaction. That was the match of the night as far as the crowd anticipating it, and as far as the crowd reacting to it, and as far as the crowd engaging with it, and as far as the crowd loving it. That was the match of the night. Don't believe me? That's cool. Go back and research it yourself. Watch the crowd. They're on their feet most of it. For a reason. It's Sasha and it's fucking Becky. Main event feel. And it ends with Becky Lynch getting DQ'd. Disqualification with a love tap because, Lord forbid, Becky Lynch lays into the ref. We all know Becky Lynch doesn't like to swing a fucking chair. Swing it like you mean it, Becky. This was a love tap, and the referee looks like he just got tackled by 17 bulldozing bulls. He was down. Rumor has it he's still down this morning from a love tap from Becky Lynch. I'd hate to see what happens if this referee gets a paper cut. We will see him in a fucking coma for 3 weeks. So that's the DQ. Listen, we all knew there was a good chance and possibility that this was going to extend to Hell in a Cell. My only thing was, if Sasha is not going to walk out with the title, you have to at least make her look dominant. Did they do that? They did the opposite. Not only did Sasha not walk off with the title, they made her look weak as fuck. They had her covered in mustard and tapping out twice and screaming for her life as Becky Lynch walks up the rampway, hoists up the championship with a smile on her face. And when she went back, she went to Twitter and said, "The man came around." That was utter dominance. Sasha Banks on her back, thriving in pain after tapping out once in the crowd and then again in the ring, as Becky had her through a steel chair and giving her the disarmer. Sasha couldn't have looked any more weak, and the match was good. All we needed was a finish to get us to Hell in a Cell, make Sasha look just as good as Becky. In fact, because Sasha just came back and she has all this momentum, try to make Sasha look even more relevant than she's ever been. Make Sasha look even more momentous than Becky. There's a concept. She has the momentum. Becky's already got the title. If you're going to keep it on Becky anyway, just make Sasha look good. That's all that needed to happen. And then we all go to Hell in a Cell happy. Instead, they have them fight up the crowd where Sasha's literally getting her ass kicked through the crowd. Becky's spraying mustard on her and shit. I'm surprised she couldn't find the ketchup. Sasha Banks is tapping out in the crowd. Then Becky throws her into the ring, gets her through a steel chair disarmer. Sasha's tapping out again, screaming her lungs out. And Becky's just smiling like, that's right, bitch. Gets out of the fucking, goes up the rampway, hoists up the championship, smile on her face. What the fuck? Sasha just came back. Why is she being booked weak? And all I'm hearing is BC, Hell in a Cell, man, Hell in a Cell. This is gonna be even more epic now, BC. Since when did we all become bookers for the future? Relax. You're not on WWE's payroll. So can we please just focus on what we're watching on the here and now? What about Clash of Champions? You guys are always on to the next. I thought that was shit that I'm supposed to be doing for you when time says to do such. But when we're watching this pay-per-view, and I'm going over the pay-per-view and it's a review show, I'm talking about that pay-per-view. I don't care about Hell in a Cell. The anticipation is going to rise if done correctly. You guys are giving Vince McMahon too much credit once again. I was told that, oh, it's going to be great. Becky and Ronda may be off for Survivor Series, but now it's going to be at WrestleMania. And I told you guys, that's 6 months away. What makes you think Vince is going to make this special or keep this special? And you guys were like, don't worry, BC. It's going to be epic, man. And I was right. It was not epic. It was horrible. In fact, you gave Vince so much time that he actually threw in Charlotte Flair in that WrestleMania main event. I told you it was not going to work. And then I was told, oh, BC, the anticipation for Sasha and Bayley winning the tag titles is going to be amazing, man. Just wait, BC. And I told you guys, no, it's not going to be, because Vince McMahon will kill this. Every time we think it's going to be better if we keep waiting, Vince McMahon will find 1,000,001 ways to ruin it. I'm down with Hell in a Cell and Sasha winning it there. That's awesome. And yes, it could build anticipation if done correctly, but you still had to make Sasha look strong last night. She just came back. Everybody is just skipping over last night like it's nothing. BC, Hell in a Cell, it's gonna be amazing, man. Don't worry about last night. No, I am going to worry about last night. We're supposed to act like this pay-per-view didn't happen just because it was booked poorly? No, you're lowering the bar and you're lowering your standards to where Vince McMahon wants you to put them. I'm not gonna do that, man. BC, how would you have done it though, man? We have to get the Hell in a Cell and they didn't want Sasha to get the belt yet. How would I have done it? Simply, Sasha tries to cheat 3 or 4 times in the match and finally Becky has enough just like they did and Becky gets DQ'd. And then after the match is when they brawl up into the crowd. And all over the place. So it's badass. Becky doesn't look like a bitch, no. Becky doesn't look weak, no. But Sasha doesn't either. They literally start... What you saw in the middle of this match, basically, is how I would have ended it. So the match ends DQ way in the ring, and then after the match, they go through the crowd, they go through the fucking concession area, in the arena, they go everywhere, and they're just beating the hell out of each other. But nobody's getting the best out of one another. They're literally just beating each other up. And that's how it ends. Now you have to see Hell in a Cell because they're both on equal ground. I didn't need to see Sasha tapping out twice covered in mustard while Becky Lynch is hoisting her championship like the man just came around. And Sasha's just another fucking tool that she tooled on. But BC, Sasha got the ultimate victory. She looked like a loser. What are you talking about? That's what I mean. The image of what the fuck's her name? Becky Lynch, the man, hoisting up the championship with a smile on her face. That is the signal and sign and picture of a fucking winner. At least in people's minds. You know, is it so much to ask for just common sense? That's all I ask. It's not hard. It's not sitting here and playing Monday morning quarterback. It's not thinking I'm better than everyone in the company. I just know that if I'm presented with a task, if Vincent Kennedy himself says, BC, I need you to keep the belt on Becky and get us to a rematch at Hell in a Cell, I say, cool, I can do all of this and make everyone look awesome, Vince. But I'm sure he'd say, well, not so fast, BC. I need you to do it in a way where Sasha looks a little weaker. What the fuck? Some people just don't... Oh, hell, everyone's looking to the future always. BC, don't worry about Ronda and Becky, their match at Survivor Series being canceled. WrestleMania is when we're gonna get it now. And I was like, who the fuck cares? That's gonna be worse at WrestleMania. The fire was hot then. The momentum was there then for Ronda and Becky. I don't want it at WrestleMania 6 months later. BC, when the tag titles go to Bayley and Sasha, it's gonna be amazing, man. All they've been working for. It's finally gonna mean something. No, it's not. 714 matches with the Riot Squad and Tamina Snuka and Nia Jax. And what? They get titles and then what? Vince is gonna take them in a month. This is what I told you guys. And what happened? They had 714 matches with the Riot Squad. They had 116 matches with Nia and Tamina. And they got the titles for a month. You guys give this company way too much credit sometimes. Oh, Hell in a Cell, it's gonna be amazing now. I hope so. But could we not get there in a better way? Did Sasha have to look like that last night when she had all this momentum? And they had her tap out twice. Twice. Once wasn't good enough. Twice. Screaming, she's getting mustard sprayed on her. Becky Lynch is hoisting her championship. Sasha's in agony. Referees are attending to her. How did she become the weakling 3 weeks when she just came back? 3 weeks after. At this point, if they give the belt to Sasha, it's only because they want to move Becky over to fucking SmackDown. And that's criminal, man. Sasha should be getting the championship because she's Sasha Banks. She's the best in the game when it comes to females. Don't believe me? Watch that crowd reaction. And this isn't the first time. She brings out the best in everybody she faces. Her matches always have extra meaning and they captivate you more than any other female match. Go back and watch Sasha Banks vs. Asuka. Go back and watch Sasha Banks vs. Ronda Rousey. Go back and watch Sasha Banks versus Charlotte Flair, 1 through 10. Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch. Sasha Banks and Bayley multiple times. The crowd is so invested and captivated by every single Sasha Banks match. Gee, could it be because there's one deciding factor, one common denominator, and her name is Sasha Banks? She is the best. She should be holding titles for years. Not just prolonging this to the point where Vince wants to transfer Becky over to SmackDown. Because at this point, that's the only reason Sasha's getting the strap, and that's criminal. Last night, she either gets the strap or she doesn't but looks dominant. Instead, she didn't get the strap and she looked weak as fuck. That is not how you book somebody. Don't justify this, guys. BC, don't worry, it's gonna be alright. No, says who? The company has shown you it's not going to be. Don't lower your standards, guys. You know I'm right. You could have booked this in a way where the brawl in the crowd happened after the match and none of them look weak. They both look dominant as fuck as they try to one-up one another. Now we have to see what happens next. It's not that hard. But Vince just doesn't want to do that, man. Who would come up with this shit? Let's make Becky Lynch dominate the entire end of this thing. Hell in a Cell, BC. Hell in a Cell, BC. I know. Trust me. It doesn't get us past Clash of Champions, though. You all talk about the future like it's guaranteed. You could go out tomorrow for your coffee or this morning for your coffee and get run over by a bus. Let's concentrate on the now. Let's book people the correct way, the right way now, and then tomorrow, next week, next month, Hell in a Cell, Survivor Series, Rumble, and so on will be even better. If we book people properly today, tomorrow's booking will look immaculate. If we book people correctly today, we could build larger-than-life superstars. There's a concept, but no. Today, wrestling fans just want to look to the future. Oh, Hell in a Cell. Oh, this is better for Survivor Series. Oh, this is going to be great for WrestleMania, BC. Let's concentrate on this. Oddly, for me, that was the match of the night, too. It's just the ending was... I just couldn't believe what I was watching. Again, Sasha not getting the title last night, okay, I can live with that. We all can. We just asked that she looks dominant. I didn't even need Becky to look any less weak. I just needed to be on a level playing field last night. She just came back 3 weeks ago. What are we not fathoming about this? Did I even put that in the... I didn't even do that yet, right? That's a fucking bad. And that's a shame. Because again, for me, that was on its way to being match of the night easily. It captivated all of us more than anything last night. But that ended so fucking poorly to set up a Hell in a Cell rematch. That's how you set up Hell in a Cell? Oh my god, dude. If you gave me that story and said, BC, what can you do with this, man? The booking is in your hands. I'm making all of us captivated for Hell in a Cell. Match number 7 on the main show. This was Kofi Kingston, the WWE Champion, defending his championship against Randy Orton. This was an okay match. Definitely not better than their SummerSlam match, which is why that ending at SummerSlam was just criminal, because that match was really good, I felt. But this one last night, the rematch... it was just okay. The crowd was dead during this match, too, by the way. I think they were just taken out by the fucking Sasha Becky ending, man. Or maybe it just drained them. Because, again, most of that Becky-Sasha match was good. I just think they were just trying to comprehend everything. And the Kofi-Orton match just did not land. And, again, it was not up to par with their SummerSlam match anyway. So this just goes in the okay department. With an ending that has literally put the final nail in Randy Orton's career coffin. The final nail was placed in and batted down last night. Here we are talking about Orton finally being relevant again heading into the new Fox deal with SmackDown. And instead, it's a simplistic trouble in paradise. And he's flat on his back looking up at the lights. We were just talking the last couple weeks about Randy Orton finally getting some momentum again, finally being a star in that company, because for years he's been irrelevant. We were finally talking about it, and this is the perfect situation. Kofi's time, I feel, has kind of ran its course. It was a great moment in months, but Randy Orton getting that championship heading into Fox, it felt right. And instead, a simplistic trouble in paradise. And this guy is looking up at the lights. If you're telling me that there's something in the future for Randy Orton, how the fuck are you going to overcome this? Him and the Revival were starting to form something amazing. The Revival just got the titles. Orton was going to be a flag bearer of SmackDown of sorts. He could have gotten a championship last night, and that could have been an amazing stable. He's flat on his... What? How is... Who books this shit? That whole SummerSlam shit was to get us to here, Clash of Champions, which is to get us to that finish. This whole 3 months of bullshit was just for that? Randy Orton pissed somebody off in that company. Either it was H or McMahon or both. but he pissed somebody off. This is absolutely a bad. There's no way in the world, no reason in the world, Randy Orton should not have won that championship last night. You can't even say maybe they'll do something like on SmackDown where Orton gets another chance, or maybe at Hell in a Cell. No, Orton should not get another shot. He literally lost flat on his back, 1, 2, 3, simplistically and cleanly. No schmozzery, no trickery, no cheatery, nothing. He does not get another title opportunity. This is what I mean about the final nail being placed in Orton's career coffin. That was it. There's no way I can find good in that. And again, the match was just okay at best. So I gotta go to the finish. It's mind-boggling to me. That goes into the bad. I'm gonna throw a mulligan here. And at one point, it looked like it was going into the ugly column. But backstage, the Street Profits are giving me one of their headaches again. The Street Profits just yelling nonsensical bullshit. It reminds me of my first 4 girlfriends, where they would just yap, 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 and it went in one ear and out the other, and it was just annoying as fuck. That's the Street Profits. So it was about to go in the ugly column when King Booker makes an appearance. I love King Booker, so that immediately I knew I made a mental note to put that into the good column. So we have a whole 5 tally, a full 5er into the good column, thanks to King Booker. So that was actually good. You know, it's amazing. So far in this pay-per-view, 2 of these goods in the 5, 2 of them are just backstage segments. One because of King Booker, and the other because of R-Truth. I love R-Truth. I love King Booker. So R-Truth and King Booker, who aren't even on the fucking main show in a match, they're responsible for 2 of the 5 goods. That tells you a little bit about how I felt about this pay-per-view. 8th match of the night on the main show. This was a no DQ match. Roman Reigns versus Erick Rowan. This means that we had to see the Roman Reigns Attacker video package for the 7,642nd time, for those of you keeping track at home. If I never see that Roman Reigns Attacker video package ever again, I will be A-okay with that. I am so fucking done with that video package. And in all honesty, guys, by this point, I was mostly disgusted with the entire pay-per-view. While Roman and Rowan did go to war, I just didn't care. And I think we all kind of gauged this as boring. I gauged the wrestling community to make sure it wasn't just the Amplified, man. And we were all just kind of zoned out for that match. It just didn't click. And I think Rowan in that spot this quickly, I mean, they just started giving him a mega push within the last 2 weeks. And there was rumors that they wanted that to be the main event last night. Thank goodness somebody called the audible on that. It just did not click. And so now we know, you learn from your mistakes, man. Roman and Rowan don't click, leave it alone. But I needed more from this match. Not just the boredom, I just needed something more. The entire pay-per-view at that point just wasn't delivering. I needed something. And I got that with the return of Luke Harper last night. So in one way, and again, he helped Rowan win this match. So in one way, it was kind of shocking that Roman Reigns lost this match. But more shockingly, Luke Harper returned, man. It was cool to see something special happen on a special event. A special moment happen on a pay-per-view. I miss those days. They didn't have Luke Harper show up on Raw or SmackDown. They had him show up at a pay-per-view where it matters, where it means something. I like that. So even though, yes, it was a boring match, yes, I had to see that damn video package for the 7,642nd time, I got to see something cool happen with the return of Luke Harper. That is good. I like that. Yeah, enough said. I was going to elaborate, but there's nothing else to elaborate on. I mean, it wasn't fucking the most epic thing I've ever seen, but it was really good, man. When you know Luke Harper's story and how he just wasn't happy at how he was being utilized in that company, which a lot of superstars are not happy unless Vince puts you at the top. And he asked for his release several times. Vince would not let him go. I mean, the guy was basically prisoner, man. He didn't want to just collect a paycheck. He knew he had talent. He knew he's kind of older. He wants to showcase his talents and skills to the world, and Vince wouldn't let him. So to see him come back, man, he realigns with Erick Rowan. Do we need to see this? Do we want to see them back together? Listen, if done properly, the answer is yes. If it's just going to be another Bludgeon Brother type situation or another second fiddle in the Wyatt family type situation, I don't need to see this again. So they better have something planned with these two. Somehow, it's Vince, it's WWE. I doubt they have anything planned with these two. I digress. It was good to see Luke Harper. That in itself gets a good. Match number 9. This was the main event on the main show. Universal Championship. Seth Rollins taking on Braun Strowman. There was no real special build to this. There was no feud, no animosity, no cool storyline. There was no reason to give a shit about this match. And in the process, they ruined the Raw Tag Team titles. Luckily, thankfully, and even surprisingly, we actually got a good match here. I think they knew they had to take this to a gear that they normally wouldn't have because they knew there was nothing in this match to give a shit about. Not even the Universal Championship. Nothing! The strap didn't even matter at that point. Vince has made it so insignificant and irrelevant. So after 117 stomps, I counted them, there was 117 stomps, Rollins put the monster to bed once and for all. That was the match. So a good match. Rollins puts 117 stomps onto Strowman, and I think this is it for Strowman. I don't know how Strowman can rebound from this. It's clear Vince doesn't look at him as a title holder or a real main eventer for a long time anyway, right? A main event here and there. But it's clear Vince doesn't put a lot of stock in this guy. He gave him 3 mega pushes, and he keeps pulling him back for some reason. And we heard Braun Strowman has some issues backstage, showing up late to events and shit like that. But then stop pushing him then. They push him for months, and then they take him back. Then after several months, they'll push him again, then they bring him back. We don't know how to gauge this guy. And soon, I always tell you guys, our subconscious is taking inventory of this. Soon, and that might be as of last night, we're going to finally look at somebody as a permanent loser. Looks like Braun Strowman is that guy. If he's not winning tag titles with a 10-year-old Nicholas, a 4th grader, he's fucking over here getting stomped 100 times by Seth Rollins and losing flat on his back. I think that's it for Braun Strowman. I don't know how he rebounds from this. On the flip side for Rollins, he goes up to the rampway. He's celebrating like Becky Lynch did earlier in the night. Puts his title in the air, and the lights go out. The screeches kick in. The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, appears. And he just doesn't show up behind Rollins. When the lights go on, Rollins is already in the Sister Abigail position. Boom! Rollins gets flatlined. But the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, isn't done yet. He actually gets Rollins into the claw and chokes out Rollins. Rollins is flat on his back. The lights go back out. The screeches halt back in. Rollins down and out. We fade to black. I think we were already in black at that point because of the Fiend. And Clash goes off the air. I needed that. For a pay-per-view that just didn't deliver to me up front, I needed that special moment at the end, and Bray Wyatt was that special person to do such. No question. That goes into... almost put that in the fucking ugly. Hell no. The match, again, was actually good. And Bray Wyatt, at the end of this thing, solidifies that this goes into the good column. I'm not going to keep them separate. I'm going to keep that all as one. I look at the Bray Wyatt attack angle on Seth Rollins as part of that match. It was the end of the match. So I'm going to lump them together, you know. Yes, it was after Rollins already won the match, but that's what they had planned. You know, if you're going to put an insignificant match on last, I'm going to need more than just Rollins beating Braun. And they gave us more. They gave us Braun. So I'm lumping that together. That gets one good. It was so good to see, man. As I left on Twitter last night, awesome fucking ending. And we needed that. Because this pay-per-view just felt flat to me. Bray Wyatt saves the fucking day. And that was right after Luke Harper appears. So a couple of special moments on the pay-per-view. Was that so hard to ask on these things? Make them feel special. Unfortunately, it was so far at the end of this thing with Luke Harper and Bray Wyatt, the rest of the fucking show fell flat as fuck. And they never quite could rebound for the rest of the show. And that's why this is not looking good, guys. Because again, those uglies are about to turn into two bads. That was Clash of Champions. Let's do the tallying. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a full 5, 6, 7 in the good. 4 in the bad. But now we have to cancel these out. Each ugly turns into 2 bads, guys. So that's canceling out to 2 more bads. This is canceling out to 2 more bads. So in the end, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 bads. So by one tally, this was a bad pay-per-view for the Amplified Man. Now in your calculation, if you guys do your own good, bad, and ugly, maybe you have 1 or 2 tallies flip-flopped. So maybe you're 1 or 2 in the good. That's cool, but I think we all can agree that this was just a decent pay-per-view at best. I think we all can agree on our final tallies on your scorecard that you're not going to be too far from one another. In other words, you're not going to have... It's not going to be a Simon fucking 27 ups, 4 down situation. No, it's going to be pretty even, I bet you, on your card as well. And there's a reason for that. This was a flat pay-per-view. These things need to feel special once again. I miss those days. Not just the big 4, not just Rumble, Mania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series. If you're going to have a pay-per-view special event, you got to make them feel special. You got to make it pay-per-view worthy. Just didn't do that. And that's why mine, guys, by one fucking tally. That's why I said you got to stay away from those uglies. This was a bad pay-per-view. Let me know what you guys thought, man. And we go on to Monday Night Raw tonight. And I'm sure we're going to kick in the Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch prolonging the Hell in a Cell. Absolutely. And I'm telling you right now, if Sasha doesn't win at Hell in a Cell, oh, wow. The Amplified unit, it's the Stanford March that I've been talking about. I've been talking about it. It's the Stanford March, baby. There is no fucking way Sasha can walk out of Hell in a Cell without that strap. And I don't see any fucking way. Any way that Bray Wyatt does not walk out of Hell in a Cell with his strap. So this could be a huge monumental Hell in a Cell if done correctly. Again, do we give Vince McMahon that credit to do such? Do we give Vince the benefit of the doubt? We're going to tune in tonight out of habit and hope. Fucking A. Please don't fuck this up, man. Tonight starts off the kick to Hell in a Cell. I really want Hell in a Cell to be huge. I really want Hell in a Cell to rectify the wrongs of Clash of Champions. It all begins tonight, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for the Monday Night Raw review show. Thank you so much. To any newer subscribers that smash that subscription button anytime during this video, thank you so much, man. You guys are along for one hell of a ride here on this channel. The Ant-Man. Pow! Check you later.